Councillor Meisner, Councillor Zhou,
Present.
Councillor Orr, and Councillor Maloney. You have quorum, Mayor Sim.
Great, thank you. Now, before we get into the plan of the day, I do want to acknowledge that today is the first council meeting of our new city manager, Donnie Van Dyke, and just want to acknowledge you. And if you want to give us a 10-minute speech, that would be great. No? All right. Yeah, the jokes aren't that funny up here, by the way, so you'll get used to that. Anyways, welcome. And it's going to be exciting. So thank you. So now the plan of the day is we're going to break at noon for lunch, followed by the in-camera meeting. Return at 3 p.m. to continue to deal with the remainder of the agenda. Adjourn or recess by 5 p.m. as we have a public hearing at 6 p.m. And if we do recess, the reconvene date is Wednesday, October the 1st, 2025 at 3 p.m. In-camera. Council is required to meet in camera later this week. The reasons and under the Vancouver Charter are listed in the agenda. Now, would someone like to move a motion to go into the camera later this week? Councillor Clausen, thank you. Councillor Dominato. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. Great, the motion carries unanimously. Minutes. Is that right? Minutes one are from the special council meeting on August the 6th and September the 25th, 2024, and April the 9th and June the 12th, 2025. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Would someone like to move adoption? Councillor Kirby-Young, seconded by Councillor Meisner. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. Great, the motion carries unanimously. Minutes two are from the council meeting following the Standing Committee on Policy and Strategic Priorities on July the 9th, 2025. Are there any corrections? Would someone like to move the motion? Great, Councillor Joe, seconded by Councillor Clausen. Thank you. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. Great, the motion carries unanimously. Minutes three are from the special council business licensing hearing on July the 16th, 2025. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Would someone like to move adoption? Councillor Kirby-Young and seconded by Councillor Dominato. So rapid fire there. All those in favor say yay. Yeah, great. All those opposed say nay. Great. The motion carries unanimously. Minutes four are from the council meeting on July the 22nd, 2025. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Someone like to move adoption? Councillor Clausen, seconded by Councillor Dominato. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. Great, the motion carries unanimously. Minutes five are from the council meeting following the Standing Committee on City Finance and Services on July the 23rd, 2025. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Would someone like to move adoption? Councillor Clausen, thank you. Councillor Dominato, seconded. Thank you. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. Great, the motion carries unanimously. Minute six are special council in-camera meeting on July the 29th, 2005. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Great, would someone like to move adoption? Councillor Meisner, seconded by Councillor Joe. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. Great, the motion carries unanimously. Matters adopted on consent. Council will now consider matters adopted on consent. We have communication 1, reports 1 and 4, and referral reports 1 through 14 on the consent agenda for council's consideration. Report 3 was withdrawn by our team members. We will hold report 2 to hear from speakers. Council may adopt the recommendations for communications 1, reports 1 and 4, and referral reports 1 through 14 on consent. Does any member wish to hold any of the items for debate or questions to team members? Councillor Dominato.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to hold report 1, public realm advertising framework for questions. I don't require a presentation.
Sorry, that was report 1?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'd like to hold referral report 12, CD1 rezoning 441 East Pender Street for procedural questions.
Thank you very much. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's see. 6, 4. Okay. Before we consider the consent agenda, if anyone believes that they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anybody have a conflict of interest? All right, seeing no hands up, we have communication 1, report number 4, and referral reports 1 through 11, 13, and 14 for the consent approval. Great. Was that, so, Councillor, was that Councillor Bly or Councillor Kervion? Councillor Bly, thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Montague. Great. All those in favor say yay. Great. All those opposed say nay. Great. The motion carries unanimously. So the following have been approved on consent. Communication number 1, changes to 2025 council meeting schedule. Report number, sorry. Sure got the report number 4, 2026 interest rate on property tax arrears. Referral report number 1, modernizing business license, land uses and policies, amendments to the zoning and development bylaw, downtown ODP bylaw, and license bylaw. Report number 2, alleviating sewer infrastructure issues through on-site rainwater management. Report number 3, enabling outdoor cold plunges and saunas, amendments to the zoning and development bylaw and license bylaw. Report number 4, rezoning 1401 through 1455 East 49th Avenue. Report number 5, CD-1 rezoning 11 through 15 East 4th Avenue. Number 6, CD-1 rezoning 270 East 13th Avenue. Report number 7, rezoning 5770 through 5790 Granville Street. Report number 8, CD-1 rezoning 1366 West 12th Avenue. Report number 9, rezoning 678 West 30th Avenue. Report number 10, CD-1 rezoning 1676 West 11th Avenue. Report number 11, CD-1 rezoning 516 through 536 West Pender Street and 501 through 515 Richard Street. Report number 13, CD-1 rezoning 1111 Broughton Street. And report number 14, modification to a condition of enactment for 3077 Madams Street, formerly 1405 East 15th Avenue and 3047 through 3071 Madam Street. Well, okay. Bear with me here. So comms was done. Okay, the first report we have is report number 1, public realm advertising framework. Now, before we begin this item, if anyone believes that they have a conflict, now is the time to disclose it. Does anybody wish to disclose a conflict? Okay, seeing none. This item does not have a presentation. Councillor Dominato, you held this item. You have 5 minutes to ask questions to our team members.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks for the report and update. I'm just curious if you could comment on, in light of this coming forward to council with these sort of guiding principles for advertising in the public realm, what the implications are for and the status of the Van Horn application that has come to the city in partnership with, I believe it's CN, but don't want to mix up with CPKG, KC. Yep. So can I, could you offer an update as to will this be an enabler for to come back to council for decision?
Yes, so this will be an enabler for that to come back for decision. Sorry, Ben Pollard, Chief Strategy Officer. So yes, this will be an enabler for that to come back for decision. We do need to undertake a bit more work with the proponent, given some of the regulatory issues that underpin it, as well as some of the financial considerations.
Okay. And so I guess my secondary question then would be is what is the, what do we anticipate time frame for that?
We're anticipating later this fall.
Later this fall?
Yeah.
So
we are going to be moving quickly on all aspects of this framework once we have, if we get approval. And so that would be the first things through the gate.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just a quick question regarding why have 7 districts for this public realm advertising? Why we make that so complicated? Can we consolidate into, I don't know, 2 or 3?
So those are existing sign districts under the sign bylaw, not part of the public realm advertising framework. Those districts have been set up over time to address neighborhood character, as well as ensuring that we have the right flexibility in the right spaces, but while protecting the character of some of the neighborhoods. Would you like more information on that? I can get Jason Olenek to.
Well, just wondering if there's a way we can consolidate and simplify the whole process into less district.
Jason Olenek, Director of Development Planning. Thank you for your question. Those sign districts are embedded in the existing sign bylaw and have been for years. A couple of them address residential versus commercial zones. So those set up just across the city different ways of dealing with signage depending on the sensitivity of the particular context. Others are like for Granville Street or BC Place that have very specific sign needs that wouldn't be applicable to a broader sign bylaw. So it's a way of regulating signs in very specific and discrete areas. Constricting that would mean that we would have a broader set of criteria that maybe won't fit neighborhood character or other specific site design criteria.
Okay, thank you. Last question is, I was approached by someone who is doing this vending machine. They can do some of the advertising on the vending machine on the street. Would that vending machine consider part of this policy?
If it is to be used for something other than vending machine, if there is actually third-party advertising that is on that, then that would fall broadly within this category, yes.
Okay, so they need a permit or something. As well.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That's all my question.
Councillor Fry?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ben. So I appreciate this is just a general framework and there's more work to come, but what's that going to look like? I mean, it's, when we think about things like view cones and views and frequency of signs and where is it going to come into play and how are they going to get approved? Is it going to be council decision or?
Yeah, so these would continue to be under council direction. Generally, in terms of neighborhood character, view cones, all of those types of issues, we are still considering that to be managed through the sign bylaw process. A sign bylaw process would require an amendment for any digital billboard, so that would be the primary purpose for those. Council will have sign off on all locations under that. What this is looking like in terms of where the general direction this would point us towards is a few select high-value opportunities rather than a proliferation of advertising across the city.
Now, and would those still respect sort of the existing view cones or
Yes.
is this? So
Those would still be in line with the requirements that are in the sign bylaw, which deal with those issues.
okay. So in theory, with this framework, you're going to be coming back to us maybe with a list of new locations for signs that we will then approve or not approve in a bylaw with a public hearing and that kind of.
Yes.
So there's ample opportunity for.
There'll be ample opportunity throughout this process.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Mott.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Ben, for being here. On the digital ad panels, it jumped out to me, the revenue is very significant, $200,000 to $230,000 per year. Is that per panel?
Yeah, so that's for each bus stop that has a digital panel in it. That is the size and format.
Okay.
It makes
Can you give me some sense of why that revenue is so much higher than, say, like a large sign on a building, for example? I'm thinking of the signs at Granville and Robson, which I understand generate about $60,000 per year to the city for each panel, or like there's two, I guess.
So
Since it's so much larger, it just seems so surprising to me that those, pretty innocuous bus stop panels generate $200,000 a year.
So the panels that were approved on the Granville and Robson sign were done through the existing process, which doesn't really allow for discussion of financials in any significant way. The main difference is that the street furniture one is one where the city has chosen to proactively engage in a strategic way in the space, and recognizing that the market potential of these areas. So the proponent of the furniture contract is quite happy to give us that amount of value out of those because of the values that they are generating.
Okay, so with this new framework, would that allow, would those panels at Robson and Granville be up for renegotiation in terms of the revenue contract?
I'm not sure of the specific ones on Granville and Robson. I'm not sure of the time frames on those.
Okay.
But council can choose to think of them in a different way for sure.
Okay. Yep. So another question was, and I think I know the answer, but maybe I'm missing a district, but the digital ad panels are currently downtown and in Kitsilano, is that correct?
Yeah, there's a limited number of them under the existing street furniture contract. We are looking to expand those slightly over time, but yeah, there are some there.
Do we have a sense of how many, we could support while maintaining that average revenue per panel?
So while some of that is subject to commercial sensitivity since we're in active negotiations, we are expecting that we can get significantly more at that same level.
Okay.
The key concern here is the overall mix in the city, and so we do know that there are some concerns about too many new other format billboards that might impact the revenue that we get from those.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Maloney?
So what's the process for the public to have input into this framework?
So the public so this is this guiding area. So they will have continuing input as part of the sign bylaw amendment process, which will still be required for all private property ones, and they will still have an opportunity at council to talk through any city-led initiatives.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Maloney. We're just dealing with some technical issues here. Sorry, I apologize about that. Okay, seeing no one else in the queue, would someone move a motion? Great. Sorry, who moved it? But who moved it? Was that Councilor Minato? Thank you very much. Seconded, Councillor Kirby-Young. Council, is there any discussion? Seeing no one in the queue, why don't we call a vote? If you can please the voting panel. And that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That completes report number 1. The next item on the docket is CD-1 rezoning. So item number 12, the referral reports, 441 East Pender Street. Before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Sorry. Oh, yes, sorry. I totally apologize. I got a little ahead of myself here. Thank you, Councillor Clausen. Okay, the next item on the agenda is report number 2, report back 897 Granville Street sign bylaw amendment. Now, before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Seeing no one's hands up, this item does have a team member presentation, and we have team members to present the item.
Can I just get a check to make sure that this is visible to everybody, the presentation? It's up there. Good to go? Okay. Sorry. Mr. Mayor, is it okay if we start?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Mayor and Council. Jason Olnek, Director of Development Planning for Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability. As a quick reminder, this report was referred back to staff in October 2023 to explore a revised public benefit, specifically the allocation of screen time, airtime. Council approved the motion and is provided on page 2 of the report. And we're all also pulled up in just a moment for reference. Also note the proposed bylaw amendment was not approved in 2023, so hopefully this isn't redundant, but I'm going to go briefly through that presentation again, just as a recap, just to make sure the information is available. Okay, sites and location. The proposal is for a rooftop billboard with static third-party advertising. It sits on top of a one-story restaurant to the north of the Smythe and Granville intersection. It sits across from an SRO at 716 Smythe and proposed active rezoning at 800 Granville. It's shown on this map above. The intersection is traffic protected in both directions, and there's a protected bike lane on the north side of Smythe. This is the approved motion from October 2023, directing staff and the applicant to explore increasing the allocation of screen time. And please also note that the delay in this process was due to a few factors. One is change in ownership Alfred Media was sold to Astral Out of Home, as well as the development of related work plans for the Granville Entertainment District, and as you just heard, sponsorship, advertising, naming rights, and donations. A summary of the benefits. In summary and in response to Council's motion, Astral proposed benefits to the city, including an allocation of up to 20% airtime for use by the city, a payment to the city of $80,000 per year under a video sign covenant or agreement, and revenue share equal to 1/2 of 30% of net revenues. For decision today, there are two alternate considerations in the report for Council. The first, if Council approves considerations A and B, will approve the bylaw amendment with a consideration for design improvement to better fit Granville Entertainment District's heritage neon signage traditions. The second alternative, if Council approves it, consideration C, would be to refuse the amendment. The proposal. Quick summary of the proposal, just as a refresh. It has not changed since 2023 to today. It's a modern rectangular LED screen with advanced lighting controls. It displays static third-party advertisements. It's mounted on a curved lighted structural feature. In this image, it's the green bit up there. With a screen measuring 2.4 meters tall, 8.8 meters wide, and 48 meters squared in area. It extends approximately 4 meters above the roof. Quick regulatory and policy summary. Since you've seen this, the Granville Entertainment District was approved in June. To recap what that says about signage, and it is a special sign district, sets out expectations for signage which demonstrates high-quality design. It is integrated with the built facades and reflects the Granville Entertainment District's historic neon signage tradition. In this case, the bylaw amendments required to permit this sign would include amendments for proximity to dwelling uses, proximity to traffic signals, rooftop signage, and third-party advertising. The bylaw amendments are provided in Appendix A of the report. They are as they were in 2023. In conclusion, the bylaw amendment at Council's discretion still requires a decision. Council is authorized to regulate signs under the Vancouver Charter and is not obliged to amend the sign bylaw. Council may impose additional conditions of approval if they wish. The design and physical properties of the sign remain unchanged from October 2023. Notable regulatory, policy, or safety considerations include proximity to dwelling uses, proximity to traffic signals, Vancouver's prohibition and precedents regarding rooftop signage, and the incompatibility with the Granville Entertainment District's historic signs, neon signage. Revenue and benefits proposed include $80,000 a year with a 3% escalating scale. Revenue share paid to the city equal to 1/2 of 30% of net revenue and 20% airtime. Again, if Council approves considerations A and B, Council will approve this bylaw amendment with a consideration for design enhancements. If Council approves alternate consideration C, the application will be refused. Thank you. Staff and the applicant are here and available to answer questions.
Great, thank you very much for the presentation. Council members, you have up to 5 minutes to ask questions of team members. Are there any questions? Councillor Meisner.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mayor, and thanks for the presentation. On the SRO units, can you give me a sense of how many units are impacted in that building and what could be done to mitigate that impact, apart from the sign turning off at night, which I understand it will turn off in the evening?
So for the Granville Entertainment District, we're proposing that the sign be shut off at 11 p.m. There are other areas where 10 p.m. may be more typical, but again, this is Granville Entertainment District. As for the exact number of SROs, I'm sorry, I can't tell you how exactly will be impacted, but I would say a dozen would be the high end of that. It's a 2-3-story structure. Some of the units face that direction, some do not. Across the street is the proposed rezoning for the 800 Granville as well.
Yeah. So what could be done in the existing SRO to mitigate the impact?
I don't know that we can much within the SRO to mitigate impact, because obviously that would be asking people to draw their shades, lower their blinds, or something to that effect. There are advanced light controls available that the applicant is proposing for this sign, and they're here, and maybe they can answer those questions better than I.
Okay. I did see that in the report. I'll just keep asking questions of you if you don't mind.
Sure.
In terms of the 20% city work or nonprofit, are there any costs associated at the city with producing or managing that content?
They're not charging us costs to manage that content. However, that's a more detailed question where we don't necessarily have program management for that at time.
Okay.
We do have staff that have looked at it, and as with the 2 signs that are at Granville and Robson, we can do that. Content will be a question for us, generating that content. But mind you, there are other offers that are coming with us now for revenue in this.
Mm-hmm.
It can help support that, yeah.
Okay. Is there a limit in terms of years as to how long this sign could be in place if approved?
At this moment, that's to be determined between the landlord, Astral, and the city. The exact agreement will be brought back to council at enactment.
Okay. And then my other question, no video, is that correct? This is
Static images only, correct.
Okay. And is that because of the proximity to an intersection, or is that a choice by applicant?
That is broadly how the sign bylaw interpreted. Dynamic images are not yet considered in the sign bylaw.
Okay.
And there could be, and I can't speak specifically to traffic safety, not being a traffic engineer, but yes, that is one of the concerns, proximity to residential. So we also regulate the amount of changes per minute so that it's not rapid fire, which could also be distracting.
Yeah, okay, I understand. And then my final question is around, it relates to the framework that we just discussed in the previous report around the digital ad panels, the ones that are at the bus stops, for example, generating around $200,000. This is significantly less, yet much more prominent. In staff's opinion, is this a good deal for the city?
Oh, tough question. Thanks for the question. We worked with a consultant on this application and with a number of other applications. For this site, this revenue is considered within line with the expectations for the site. It's not going to be an extremely high-performing site, no matter what you do. So the revenue is considered an appropriate deal for the existing location.
Okay, and why would the site not be high-performing given its very prominent location, in my opinion?
Yeah, I'm reticent to answer that question, not being tied into that analysis as closely as I'd like to. I'm going to ask if Ben maybe can try to.
Just more color, even if Ben or yourself can't. I'm just trying to get a sense. I mean, those signs, bus stops are much smaller.
I'm going to say that it has to do a little bit with the location, its prominence, the amount of traffic that you see.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pedestrian activity. This is a vehicular-oriented billboard, so it's maybe not going to perform as well. Obviously, the billboard that was like right in coming into the city is just going to be that much more prominent, obviously. So that would be my best guess at that.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Maloney.
I've got a question for the Director of Transport, please. I'm concerned about exploring safety, obviously, of this sign, and particularly given that there is I think the bike lane is bi-directional, and sometimes motorists can be not expecting that. What is your opinion of the safety of this potential distraction in that location?
Great, thank you for the question. Paul Storr, Director of Transportation. When the sign came in, we reviewed it. Given that this is Smythe Street, kind of at the edge of the transit mall, and we don't have turns really over the bike lane, the conflict with the bike lane isn't a major concern. I think what best practice is in terms of proximity to traffic signals is to have them further away, both to reduce distraction, but also to prevent a visibility conflict with the visibility of the signal. Given that it's the one-way street, that Smythe is a one-way street, carries most of the traffic, you can't actually, probably won't see the sign until you're fairly close to it, and trees and everything else happening there. Given that the intersection is fully controlled, we see it as a relatively minor risk from a safety perspective, and that, over time, Granville will become livelier. There's council direction to move towards a pedestrian-only street. Like, we just expect Granville to continue to be more animated, and just overall don't see this as a huge risk. The risks that are there, we think, can be mitigated with thoughtful design. There's best practices around how long there is between images and things like that on the screen. So we think it's a relatively minor risk.
Thanks very much. Just another quick question for staff. Maybe this has got, in the bylaw is going to require 4 different concessions. What are comparisons with other historic changes to the sign bylaw? I mean, is this a frequent thing or is this a very unusual thing? One that's not been here for long?
Great question. Very infrequent, but not unexpected. It's anticipated, and this is the process spelled out in bylaw. The bylaw was written in 2017, and this is the second one that I'm aware of. There may be a few others since then. And the most immediate precedent is the sign at Robson and Granville. There's actually 2 signs, and it was approved in 2017, $60,000, it's $120,000 in total, and it's modeled after that. So it's very much written in a very similar amendment to the bylaw.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dominato.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, just a couple of quick questions with respect to the report. One is around the consideration B, around working with the applicant around design modifications to better fit the historic Granville Street Entertainment District. Could you just comment on, have you had discussions with the applicant with respect to consideration B already and amenability to that?
We have not had that conversation, but it is a consideration, so we'll work with them to see what they can accommodate within their sign design.
Okay, I think the applicants here, maybe they can comment on it when they speak. My second question is with respect to the allocation of up to 20% of airtime for use of the city, and also mentions for the display of nonprofit arts advertising and or city artwork or similar. Would that potentially include other advertising that has a public benefit? So I think about, for example, Good Night Out that does work in the Granville Street area to ensure that women are safe, people are getting home safe. Is there an opportunity for other organizations, not necessarily arts-based, to have advertising in that 20% airtime?
From what you described, I believe that falls within that category, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you very much. Councillor Joe.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Mayor. Quick questions. Have we thought about just simply install the curtains in the affected units in the RCR building as a simple, cheaper solution?
That would extend beyond the scope of this, but I'd be happy to work. It is a city-owned SRO, I understand, and I would be happy to take that away and work with the appropriate staff to see if that's something to do.
Okay.
I don't know if there aren't curtains already in place there.
Okay, but if this one is passed, it could be a consideration moving forward.
Sorry, say that again.
So
Apologies.
if this is passed today, it could be a consideration for the curtains for that building, for the SR building.
I would definitely take that away and have that as a conversation,
That's
for sure.
awesome.
Sorry, I just wanted to correct, there's 40 units in the SRO, so let's just assume about half are affected. But
You have so 20 units, yeah. Okay, thank you. Other quick questions. For that half of the net revenue, 30%, do we have any estimation how much money we're talking about?
we have talked to the applicant about that. They'll need to answer that question for you because it is a complicated calculation.
I see, but that's on top of the $80,000 per year.
Correct.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Okay, seeing no one else in the queue, we're now going to hear from registered speaker for this report. Public speakers should state whether they are in support or in opposition to the recommendations and may only speak once. I'm going to ask speakers if they are residents of Vancouver, if it's not noted on the speakers list. Now, our first public speaker is Brad Shabat. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Thank you.
Good morning. Mayor, councillors, thank you for taking the time today to hear our application for 897 Granville. And thank you to Jason and staff for working with us over the past 18 months in preparation for this report and this day. My name is Brad Shabat. I am the Director of Real Estate and Business Development for Astral, division of Bell Media and ECE, and one of the leading out-of-home companies in Canada. Astral has a long history with the City of Vancouver. We are currently partners with the city on the street furniture program, referencing the digitals as mentioned today. We also partner with the property owner at Robson and Granville. In 2024, we acquired Outfront Media Canadian assets, which along with that acquisition came the application or the project for 897 Granville. From the onset, we saw potential to evolve the program, something that really was something we really wanted to look into in the Vancouver market, especially in the downtown core and the entertainment district. We, over the time, have worked with a partner at 897 Granville to put together an enhanced, meaningful, I think, great opportunity and proposal for the city and the landlord itself. So as mentioned previously, the offer that we are enhancing from 2013 is we are offering up the $80,000 minimum annual guarantee or fixed rent with a 3% increase year over year. In working with the property owner and on the overall lease agreement, the property owner has agreed to have a 50-50 split on the 30% revenue share. In addition to that, as mentioned before, we have increased the overall screen time or allocation to the City of Vancouver to 20% from 10% in the previous report in 2023. In overall, so this is a unique situation with the city. We have some comparables. We have deals with municipalities and private property owners from coast to coast. There is not many municipalities that are provided a revenue portion of a privately owned billboard. So this is a unique situation, but we definitely want to work with the City of Vancouver with that, and more than happy to do so. There is only one. City of Toronto has a sign tax that they implement. So all signs, whether it's static, digital, variation in sizes, have a tax that's applied to each one of those signs based on square footage. So in conclusion, I mean, we're proud to work with the City of Vancouver. We're excited about the opportunity, the continued relationship with the city. The improved proposal hopefully is meaningful unto the city and to the Granville location. We think it's a great impact for the region, the economical impact, the cultural impact, and the visual impact. We understand that council's priority is to ensure that any signage contributes meaningful to the public good, not just commercially, but all through tangible community benefits. And we feel that we have made that happen with this application.
There are a lot of gremlins here today. Just pause for 1 minute. Sure. Because a lot of gremlins this morning. Thank you, Clerk. So I've just been informed that council can actually ask questions of the applicant right now. So if that's, if any councillors want to get in the queue and ask questions, they're more than welcome to do so. Oh, and there we go. Councillor Meisner.
Yeah,
Sorry,
thanks.
Clerk, is it 5 minutes?
Thanks, Brad, for being here. Can you talk a little bit more? I'm just trying to get some more specifics around the 30% rev share. Do you know what that's going to look like, or do you have a sense of what that could look like?
We hope it's anywhere around the $50,000 to $150,000 range per year.
Okay.
We do a lot of benchmarks in the Vancouver market to show what the variable rent's going to be. As we know, there is static inventory in the Vancouver market. Robson and Granville is not really a true comparison due to size, the dynamic content that's permitted on that board, the time frame, because it is 24/7 that we can run that board. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to get a variable rent that's in and around that range, would be 50% to the city, of course.
50% of that range to the city.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Dominato.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, so my question is, to the question I asked earlier, is consideration B in the report. I understand for staff there hasn't been an active discussion yet around that. What are your thoughts on the consideration around for design work to align sort of with the heritage and historic nature of Granville Street? And then
Absolutely. More than happy to work with the city on the design aspect of it all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clausen.
Yeah, thanks very much. Just a couple of general questions. I'm not an expert. You're the expert on the displays themselves. The angling of the light, the exposure potentially on the SMI side and the building across the street. Does the system itself allow for any mitigation for how the light bleeds?
Yeah, the system itself has automatic dimming capabilities. So what it does is stays even with ambient light. So it's not like it's going to be a bright light at night, bright light in the day. It stays with ambient light. So what you see in just your everyday visuals is it automatically dims down at night to stay with that constant illumination rate.
Okay. There's been some using, I know that of at least one digital display located at Kingsway and Broadway on the Rise building that has art displayed on there. It's quite fetching. Do you know if there are any ideas or plans around the potential for presenting art as part of the allotment of time that the city is looking at?
That's open to the city's discretion. Absolutely. It can be anything from public service announcements to art to safety concerns.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, and thanks for being here. I'm sure council just had the public realm advertising framework on the report earlier. I'm guessing that you have looked at that report also? I thought you might. I'm curious as to whether you are trying to pursue other options, because or other locations, because that framework
Absolutely.
contemplates.
It all depends on the outcome of the report and then what the city plans on doing moving forward, but for sure we'd be interested in other locations.
Are you actively trying to look at other locations in the area?
I think as an out-of-home company, we're always looking at other areas to be able, we do not have anything that's ready to come to council or for an application, but as part of business development and our business, we are always actively looking.
Given that the public realm guidelines that council just passed contemplate a limited number of signs on private property in the public realm versus public, I wonder if that impacts your kind of interest in this market or approach to the market.
No, I don't think so. I mean, to be transparent, I think having the city's initiative to go ahead and look at some sort of party advertising program is definitely a positive thing. Not all municipalities do that at a level that's not street furniture level. So transit shelters and the transit system within city municipalities and that are usually ran and operated and revenue shared with municipalities. Moving one step further and implementing a possible billboard strategy is definitely a positive for an out-of-home company or multiple out-of-home companies and the city.
Okay, but you did take away that Vancouver has limited interest in doing that on private property from that report?
I did, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no other questions from council, clerk, so I guess we go back to speaker number 2 now. Right, thank you for regular procedures. All right. Speaker number 2, Chris Saramokis.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Saramokis, and I am one of the owners of 897 Granville Street. I'm here today asking for council support for our sign, which will provide instant street beautification to Granville Street, contribute to its revitalization, and provide tremendous public value, all at no cost to the taxpayers in Vancouver. We've spoken about the financials a little bit already, but I'll quickly go over them as well. What is the city getting? As soon as the sign is activated, the city is getting $80,000 per year, increasing percent year over year. In year 10, this amount reaches about $104,000. The average 10-year rent's about $91,700. To put that into context, the high property taxes already for this building this year are $74,000. So for 400 square feet of roof space, $80,000 is a very generous amount. In addition to this, the landlord has agreed to a revenue share with the city on a 50-50 basis, meaning the city will get its guaranteed rent. The landlord will get its guaranteed rent. When Astral pays the landlord bonus rent, excess rent, based on sign performance, that bonus rent will be shared with the city on a 50-50 basis. So that's how that works. And there is a formula of how that extra rent works based on gross revenues minus expenses, and then that number is multiplied by 30%. That's where that 30% comes from. And then it's going to be the higher of. Just as important as the financial benefits are is this time the city's getting for use of the space. For me, one of the most important uses of that free screen time would be for public safety messaging. So given that this sign's proximity is, right in the middle of clubs, bars, and nightclubs, most important messaging that the sign can put up is like, don't drink and drive. Right, this is very important, and it should be used every day, and all night. Or until the sign turns off. All promoting late night transit options would be great. And for Vancouver's vulnerable, alerting the vulnerable of cooling centers in the summer, warming centers in the winter. Those would be very useful as well. So those are the public safety messages, some of them. Another way, so I've been on the West Forth BIA for over 10 years. I've been president for most of those years. So I know that we're strapped for money and how we use that money. So I think it would be great if part of this screen time was allocated to all of Vancouver's 22 BIAs, kind of like a BIA bulletin board to promote all of the city's BIA's annual events throughout the year, whether it's Cats for 4th, or Greek Day for Broad Day, or Car Free Day, Pride, Italian Days, Granville Block Party, Chinatown Festival. This would be a fantastic opportunity for the BIAs to promote their events, which will go along to supporting small business.
Chris, and we're over time.
Over time?
We're done.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hope we have your support.
Awesome. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
All right, that's the end of our speakers list, and so thank you for coming on in. And would one like to move a motion? Councillor Klassen, seconded by Councillor Joe. Council, is there any discussion? Seeing no one in the queue, I'm now going to call a vote. Clerk, can you please? Oh, sorry. Is there a delay here today? So, okay. All right. So we're not going to call the vote yet. There is discussion. Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks. I went back, I have to admit, this morning and looked at the minutes from October 2023. It doesn't feel like it was 2 years ago, but apparently it was. And at the time, it's on record, I voted against it for a couple of reasons. We didn't have sort of a policy, which ironically we had in the same minute today, around advertising in the public realm. And that process was underway. We also had a concurrent process happening with the Granville Street planning area. A desire to re-erect the neon signage to look at what we want Granville Street to look like in terms of building on its roots and modernizing and moving that neighborhood forward. And I didn't think it was a great deal for the city, to be honest. There was really no financial return at the time and 10% of airtime. And airtime is a nice to have, but it's not necessarily the be-all and the end-all. And the city has the ability through a lot of other channels, through the street furniture contract and others, to put out advertising for nonprofits, arts, its own messaging, et cetera. That was definite pushback, I know. Council ended up sending it back to purely with the direct to increase the airtime, not the financials, and yet we had a sort of a fairly robust response back from the applicants and the advertising company with respects to a financial share. It's very, so I appreciated that. I think that speaks to the fact that I didn't think value was necessarily there for the city. And I come from the marketing world. I'm very familiar. I've had a lot of outdoor in my time for specific components, but now I'm in the sort of business of stewarding the city. But I do think that we want to be very thoughtful about how and where we utilize this. I think sometimes you also have to recognize that we have applicants in a process for a couple of years in the absence of city policy. And I'm also acutely aware that this is Granville Street that has had particularly tough times. It's very difficult for a lot of the businesses there. The vacancy rate has been the highest. I think the retail vacancy rate hit about 30% relative to what a healthy vacancy rate would be, and much higher than the rest of downtown, or in fact across Vancouver as a whole. And so I'm cognizant of that. It's static, it's not digital. And I don't expect to see a proliferation of these signs, because I think that was clearly a guideline that was included in the public realm framework, that the city may pursue targeted opportunities with respects to city-owned lands. And looking at that, the street furniture contract's a large component of doing that, but there are other benefits that come in terms of delivering the furniture component. But what I want to see in terms of the revitalization of Granville Street is permitting the neon signage for a lot of the businesses to come back. I was also on council last term when there was a sign application by the Belmont to do a very funky, cool neon sign on the building, and it was sort of some person sort of swimming through with different fun colors, and I thought that was entirely consistent with the history of Granville Street, and that was shot down by the last council. So those are the sorts of things that I'd like to see come forward. I don't want to see a lot of these, but I also know that we want to uplift the area, and I think this applicant has been caught a couple of years of process. So I am inclined to kind of, given the fact that I think the value proposition is quite different. Today, I am more inclined to support this one, but I wanted to provide those reflections. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councillor Fry.
Yeah, and just a quick polite correction to Councillor Young, who said it was static, not digital. In fact, I think what you meant was it's static, not animated. Yes, just for clarity. Yeah, I think this is coming back as a far better proposal than we had originally considered, and I appreciate the work that's gone into bringing this forward. So I won't spend a lot of time speaking to it, but I do think this is a better deal, and I'm happy to support it. And what I also appreciate is Section B here, asking them to come back and work on finessing the physical design of the sign. So it is a little bit maybe more in keeping with the historical context of Granville Street, which, as we know, was once the neon highway of the city of Vancouver. And I think this is an opportunity to kind of bring a little bit of that back. We all know Granville Street's struggling, and I think also alive to the fact that the Downtown Vancouver BIA has sent in letters of support on this, and a number of the businesses around that area think that this is a good shot in the arm. So I will support this. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Clausen.
Thanks very much, Mayor, and thanks staff and to the applicant for coming to speak here today. And I've just been listening to the reflections from Councillors Kirby and Councillor Fry. I actually realm framework in an earlier vote, but as these are sort of tied together in many ways, I wanted just to acknowledge that work. I think it's extraordinarily thoughtful the way we've gone about trying to preserve and take a level of control over the public realm, and of course, which is very much a part of the public realm. But I also just want to acknowledge the work that the applicant has put into this to help us perhaps understand a little bit better what the present day is for outdoor advertising, and the fact that that there are new technologies in place. It's actually, in many cases, we're hearing about billboards being removed in some sites in favor of these digital signs. And, there are some places where I see too many of them. When I think of driving into some cities and you see lines of them in some American and other cities. But I think this one is tastefully done. And as Councillor Kirby-Young talked about, Granville itself is going through change, it's struggling a little bit at this time. But I think all of us are very invested in making sure that street does come alive, has great retail and a vibrant streetscape. And I believe that, especially with FEE coming, we're going to see thousands and thousands of people, teeming crowds that are going to be there during those matches. And it will, I think, hopefully add to that vibrancy that we've come to expect from Granville and bringing a bright future for that city. So I'll be supporting this application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Meisner.
Thanks. I'm getting the sense that I might be a bit of an outlier on this. I did originally support this proposal 2 years ago, but as I've learned more about the city's role in really regulating these signs, my thinking has evolved significantly. So I do appreciate the improved offer by the applicant. I think it's much more fair in terms of what we're really offering up as a city in terms of the public realm. I do think there's a difference between neon signs that we want to see on Granville Street and treasure on Granville Street and an advertisement. So from my perspective, when I think about the neon signs on Granville Street, I think about the studio sign, I think about the Orpheum sign. I don't necessarily think about an advertising sign. So from my perspective, it's really those neon signs that we want to see on Granville Street. There's also the impact on the adjacent residential buildings, and I think it's easy for us to, make decisions at council based on a report, but living next to a sign like this would certainly impact on those residents. And it also contravenes the city policies in terms of distance. And I think it could set a precedent. And as someone who lives in a busy downtown area, I'm concerned about that. But I think for me, the thing I'm having the hardest time squaring is, I guess, it's the revenue that the city will be receiving for this particular sign, which in my eyes is at a very prominent location. I mean, Smythe Street is quite busy. This is a one-way street. It's a captive audience of traffic heading in one direction. And this sign is going to be right in front of them on a very prominent corner. As well as Friday and Saturday nights on Granville Street, we all know are very busy with pedestrians and probably going to get busier in the future with our efforts to revitalize the street. So when I think about digital ad panels at the bus stops, which I understand they have video on them around 24 hours, but they're way smaller than this sign on the top of a building at a pretty important intersection. Those bus stop panels, as we heard in the previous report, are generating $200,000 minimum for the city for each panel. So to think that the city would only be getting $80,000 plus the 50% of the 30% revenue share, so about half of what one of those panels would produce, I have a hard time squaring those numbers. To me, it doesn't seem worth it. And I think we could probably drive for potentially a better deal. So that's my thought on it. And I'm thinking long term. And as a result, I won't be able to support this today.
Good, thank you. Councillor Dominato.
Fair. I appreciate the discourse here, and I appreciate that Councillor Young took us through, down memory lane there around some of the history of decision making at the table and some of the applications that have come forward before and the history of the street. And I think I'm going to keep my comments quite brief on this, but I was asking about the consideration B in particular because I think in recognizing there hasn't been an extensive conversation around design, but what I appreciated that is trying to align more with the history of the neon sign. Well, it's not a neon sign in the tradition that Councillor Meisner is referring to. I think that's an important nuance to this, and I would hope that we could have some constructive conversation with the applicant and our staff about that. When I consider big picture, I do see some benefits to this in terms of the public aspect of the advertising time that would be part of it, the 20% that would be allocated to the City of Vancouver, that could also be leveraged by other nonprofit organizations or arts groups, and just some of the public messaging around safety. But my thinking has also evolved on us over time, and it probably the biggest driver in that evolution has been our endorsement around revitalized Granville Entertainment District and the work that's being undertaken in this space. And so when I consider the pros and cons, I've really moved over to sort of the seeing benefits of this. And I think it could evolve over time as well. I don't think that landscape of that space is going to stay static in terms of that site. And I mean, I expect we'll see redevelopments in these blocks well in the future. So I think this will look potentially different in the future as well. But with everything in mind and everything I've heard today, I'm prepared to support the application and considerations A and B that I think have been moved by my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bly.
Thanks very much, and I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. And it's clear that there's been a lot of thought that's gone into this decision by everybody. Yeah, I mean, I think that the evolution of Granville Street is part of thinking about these things differently. And so I think similar to others, my thinking's also evolved to be more open to this type of application to support it with the caveat that I am not super excited about these types of signs in our city, across the city. So I think it's important just to say that hyperlocation here, I think it can make sense. Elsewhere in our city, I don't see how this application would really work for me unless it's a real unique circumstance. And I think it's just important to be pretty transparent up front that if this is supported, that it's not as supported citywide. We're going to be from my perspective. So I'm interested. I share many of the concerns that Councillor Meisner outlined, particularly around the impact on folks living on Granville Street, residents that currently live on Granville Street. I have received many emails over the years when certain spotlights get installed on certain parking lots, and all of a sudden those residents are calling us, and it's just a lighting piece, not a billboard. So I just hope that, and I think staff have really heard today, that considering the SRO is city-owned across the street, that we, in earnest, solve that problem proactively, so that everybody feels that they've been considered and this decision should it get approved. I also appreciate the interest of the landlord and commitment to small business in our city over almost a decade, or more than a decade. And recognize the desire. But at the end of the day, this is an advertising piece of infrastructure. And as much as all good intent, the landlord's not going to decide what goes up on that screen. We have 20% of that time as city council. That's not a lot of time, really, in the grand scheme of things. So the piece that's pushed it over for me is the 30% equal to net revenue overall with the sign, and the 80,000 base rent back to the city is sufficient for me to say that, given the physical context of this particular corner, I'm willing to support this today, but with the hesitation around, let's see how it goes. I did have a point of information I just realized there, through you to the staff. What happens if there is an application for redevelopment on this site? What happens to this decision around?
That's a very good question. So when we write that agreement, we'll anticipate that with them. Should redevelopment on the site as part of the new enabling policies of the Granville Street Entertainment District come along, it would probably mean an end to the revenue, but then the redevelopment would have other benefits and city priorities that would go along with it. So we iron that out when we give you the final agreement when that's ready.
But just to be clear, this agreement with this sign in this particular location is dependent on this building staying just as it is right now. And if the building was to be redeveloped, it would be a new agreement.
That's
and
correct.
A new proposal to council to approve or not approve.
That's correct.
Yeah, and so I would just say thank you very much. That for me, the support is of this building right now as it is with this sign. For me, that does not mean that it would be supported with a much higher building in the future for lots of different reasons. Considering the information I have in front of me now. So I'll leave it there. But again, just appreciate Chris, the landlord, bringing this forward and working through the process, and also the media company coming forward as well. And my councillors, my colleagues, for very good comments and thoughtful discussion on this today.
Thank you very much. Councillor Maloney.
Yeah, thanks, and especially for the comments about the impact of light pollution. And I definitely would also like to see the SRO proactively given curtains or whatever is required. Also, I'm interested in just quickly asking a point of information of staff about what likely development is going to take place around that may be impacted by light, given its location.
Great question. No easy answer to that. The big change will be that they're enabling, there is an active application coming forward and potential for additional residential in the area. However, it is outside of the limits in the bylaw, 30 meters, so we would expect the impacts to be minimized. The primary impact on residential will be the existing that's there, and again, it is small. We've already talked about how we may be able to work with that SRO. Other than that, obviously the revitalization of Granville is dependent on redevelopment for things like hotel and commercial spaces and things of that nature. I can't anticipate what the owner's expectations are for this site in particular, what they would like to do. But obviously, as a one story, it's below the allowable heights and densities that would be permitted on the strip.
Great, thanks very much. Thanks. Yeah, look, I really appreciate the comments of the my council colleagues, and on balance, I think I'm going to support this. Thanks.
Thank you, you, Councillor. Seeing no one else in the queue, I'm now going to call a vote. Clerk, can we please go to the voting screen? Council, can you please register your votes? Great, and that passes with Councillors Meisner and Orr in opposition. So that completes report number 2. So I'm going to go to referral report. Thank you very much, by the way. I'm going to go to referral report number 12 now. So this item does not have a team member presentation. Councillor Kirby-Young, you held this item, so you have up to 5 minutes to ask questions of team members.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I held this report.
Wait, I'm gonna pause your timer here.
Sure.
Actually, it hasn't even started. That's okay. I want the team to come in.
Okay.
All right. Councillor Kirby-Young, you're up.
Yeah, I held this report with respects to some procedural questions, which I know is the job of council at this point. This is commenting on the merits of it, but just with respects to what the public was consulted on versus what's in the application. And I understand and I'd like some response from staff on this, that the package proposal for this rezoning included advising that this would be a social housing building that would contain roughly a third shelter, a third at Hills, and a third of affordable below market rental operated by community builders who was involved all the way through the process. And then I understand that's what the community was consulted on. I also understand now that there was a change subsequent, and I'm looking for clarification on this, to that, and that the rezoning referral report that council has in front of us now contemplates a change from community builders to the Lookout Housing and Health Society. And I'm hearing from community members that the housing tenure mix is not going to be, or is not intended to be by the applicant to the nonprofit to be what is put in the report, but potentially to be 100% shelter as opposed to a third, with a different applicant that was actually contained on what people thought they were speaking to. So I'm concerned about the issue of procedural fairness on this one.
Thank you for the question. Casey Peters, Assistant Director of the Rezoning Center. So you are correct that the housing operator proposed did change partway through the process, and that change did occur following the Q&A that we did, engagement that we did with the public. We have updated the information on the Shape Your City page to reflect the change, and as you noted, the change was reflected in the referral that's been sent forward. The proposal is for social housing, and that has not changed with this change of operator. So that has been secured in the CD1 bylaw.
Is the proposal to do, is it accurate that the lease is intended to be now 100% shelter units and not a mix of housing?
The units are proposed to be social housing units, meeting the definition in the zoning and development bylaw.
But I understand the definition of the social housing bylaw and what that minimum is, but that still would provide ability for the applicant to do 100% shelter within that definition, would it not? Is that the intention?
I suppose the applicant could elect to do deeper levels of affordability beyond what is secured. I have not heard from the applicant that that is their intention.
Can I ask why was there a change in the applicant, and why can council get a referral report with a change that is different after? I also have a subsequent question, which is I'm hearing that there's a number of Chinese seniors in the area, such as Gaia, that wanted to participate in the process and did not feel they had fair access due to language abilities, and the city did not make an opportunity available to them.
We did hear comments about the challenge accessibility, and we have made efforts to prepare for the public hearing that will include interpreters that we be ensuring are available.
So,
because
Mayor,
we did hear that comment during the engagement.
based on what I'm hearing, I'm wondering if we can take a pause and an opinion from legal as to whether or not this has met the test for consultation procedural fairness, because I'm hearing that people were precluded from participating in the process because of language, that they were consulted on something that is different than in the consultation period is in the referral report. Can we get a legal opinion on?
So just so I'm clear, are you asking to pause?
I'm asking for a recess to get a legal
Recess, great,
opinion
thank
on
you.
whether or not this opens up the city and whether or not there's a procedural
you.
fairness issue based on the points raised.
So I'm going to stop your time here. So why don't we take a 10-minute recess? All right. Oh. Give you a few extra
Great,
seconds here.
thank you. I'd like to propose a referral motion, and I've sent it to the clerk.
Sorry, is that it? We didn't hear.
Yeah, I'd like to propose a referral motion, which I sent to the clerk, which reads that council refer the application to staff to review whether the principles of procedural fairness were followed with respect to changes to the application subject to public engagement.
Okay. Great. So do we have to go to like an amendment queue or something? Just the main queue? Thank you
Mayor?
very much. So Councillor Kirby-Young, I'm going to add you to the main queue. Whoop. Or what? Okay, so
Mayor?
sorry, just hold on a sec. So clerk, before there are people in the queue, so we got it. It was moved by Councillor Kirby-Young, seconded by Councillor Joe, and then Councillor Bly comes in. Is that right? I move that to the main queue. Okay. So moved by no, I'm going to manage this process on the main queue. Okay. So moved by Councillor Kirby-Young, seconded by Councillor Joe, and Council, is there any discussion? Councillor Bly.
Oh, thank you. I just noting that there was a request for a legal opinion. I just want to ensure that we have a chance to hear that legal opinion before we consider a motion.
So clerk, does this count as Councillor Bly's time, or is
No, he calls on you.
are we taking a recess to hear the
Mayor,
legal
maybe the
opinion?
city manager could just give us that legal opinion. That would be great. Thank you.
Yep. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just given the facts of the case, we just need some time to review them before we're able to provide council with an opinion. Referring the matter back to staff will give us that time to get to the bottom of the facts and then provide council with that opinion at a later meeting.
Okay. Councillor Bly, does that answer your question?
Thanks. Just a point of information for clarity. The legal opinion is that we can't yet give the legal opinion until there's more time, is what I'm hearing.
That's what.
Okay.
Sounds
Okay. Just given that this is a quasi-judicial decision, and I think it's important to be extremely clear on that piece. Come back in the meeting or by memo?
Is that a question 3 to the city manager?
Whoever you just choose, Mayor. Yep.
Your Worship, we will provide that advice back to council as it's a legal opinion back at a closed meeting.
This is a public referral motion, though.
We will review any legal opinion. We'll provide a fullness of that, but we will review the details and report back publicly to ensure procedural fairness.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no one else in the queue, we're going to bring Councillor Kirby-Young's motion to refer this report to a vote. So if we can please go to the voting queue. Councillor Klassen. And that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, so that ends referral report number 12. Okay, we are into bylaws. We have 21 bylaws on the agenda for enactment. Note, bylaws 6 and 7 have been withdrawn. Now, before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes that they have a conflict of interest, it's the time to clear it. Does anybody want to disclose a conflict? Seeing no hands up. Okay. For bylaws 8, 9, 15, 17, and 20, council members absent for these items at the public hearings need to have reviewed the proceedings, including the video clip, to be eligible to vote. Bylaws 8 and 9 were from the public hearing on September the 5th and 6th, 2018. All council members were not on council at the time of the public hearing and will need to review the proceedings to be eligible to vote. Councillor Bly, have you reviewed the proceedings and will you be voting on the enactment? Councillor Dominato? Great, thank you. Councillor Fry? Councillor Kirby-Young? Councillor Klassen? Councillor Maloney? Councillor Meisner?
And I will.
Councillor Montague?
I have and I will.
Councillor Orr? Councillor Joe? and I have not, and I will not. Bylaw 15 was from the public hearing on November the 12th and 14th, 2024. At the council meeting on July the 8th, 2025, Councillors Bly and Kirby-Young advised that they had reviewed the proceedings related to Bylaw 15. Councillor Fry was absent for this item at the public hearing, and Councillors Maloney and Orr were not on council at the time of the public hearing. Councillor Fry, have you reviewed the proceedings and will you be voting on the enactment? Great. Councillor Maloney? Councillor Orr? Great, thank you. Bylaw 17 was from the public hearing on November the 14th, 2023. At the council meeting on July the 8th, 2025, Councillors Bly, Dominato, Kirby-Young, Klassen, Meisner, and Orr advised that they had reviewed the proceedings related to Bylaw 17. Councillor Maloney was not on council at the time of the public hearing. Councillor Maloney, have you reviewed the proceedings and will you be voting on the enactment? Thank you. Bylaw 20 was from the public hearing on June the 10th, 2025. Councillor Montague was absent for this item at the public hearing. Councillor Montague, have you reviewed the proceedings and will you be voting on the enactment? Thank you. Now, we're going to need to vote on bylaws 1, 2, and 8 separately, as bylaw 3 is subject to the approval of bylaws 1 and 2, and bylaws 9 through 11 are subject to the approval of bylaw number 8. Would someone to move a motion to adopt bylaws 1, 2, and 8? Councillor Klassen, seconded by Councillor Dominato. Would someone like to move a motion? Oh, sorry, we need to vote on that first, don't we? Yeah. Okay. We're going to vote on those bylaws. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay, that passes. Would someone like to move the motion to adopt remaining bylaws 3 through 7 and 9 through 21 inclusive? Councillor Meisner, seconded by Councillor Dominato. Council, is there any discussion? Great. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. The motion carries unanimously. The list of approved bylaws can be found on the city's website. Okay. Notice of council member motions. Are there any notice of council member motions for the upcoming standing committee meeting? And wow, we got a whole list. Councillor Bly. Oh, sorry. Before we go there, I'm going to pause your timer. Actually, can we get that? Can we get Councillor Bly's timer reset, please?
Actually, that's a holdover, Mayor, so I'm not on the queue.
Yeah, no, we're getting it cleared. Please, I'm just giving you a reminder to please state the title of the motion and the date of the standing committee meeting on which you intend to move the motion, and be sure to send the title and date to the standing committee, of the standing committee meeting via email to the clerk. Okay, can we please put Councillor Bly back on first? Oh, sorry, that
Mayor,
was, got it.
That is a holdover.
Awesome, thank you. I thought you were talking about the time was a holdover. Okay, so I'm up. Start my timer here. I'm calling notice of motion for the standing committee meeting on Wednesday, October the 8th, 2025 for two motions. First is titled Zero Means Zero, Advancing a 0% Property Tax Increase for 2026. And the second titled Promoting Cultural Inclusion and Economic Vitality, Advancing a Main Street Filipino Cultural Center and Hotel Project that I will be co-submitting with Councillor Joe. Councillor Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So I'll call in this motion on October the 8th with the motion title Landstat, a pilot program for smart, transparent, and accountable city services. It is co-submitted by myself as a mover and also Councillor Montague. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councillor Orr.
Yes, I would like to call notice of motion for standing committee October 8th, titled Prioritizing Accessibility and Public Participation at City Council.
Thank you very much. Councillor Maloney.
I'd like to call notice of motion for the standing committee meeting on October the 8th, 2025, on a motion with Councillor Orr entitled Next Stop UBC, a call to accelerate the completion of the Broadway SkyTrain.
Thank you. And Councillor Fry.
Calling notice for motions on October 8th, protecting the Champlain Heights Forest Trail Network for future generations and residents. And the second is advancing recommendations and remedies, improve operation and application of Vancouver's Code of Conduct bylaw. Both for October 8th.
Thank you very much. Okay. I don't see anyone else in the queue, so gone. Okay, new business. We have one item of new business on the agenda today. Requests for leaves of absence as follows. This motion has been circulated to council at the beginning of the meeting and is available on the screen. Any leaves of absences that were received during the meeting are also included in the motion on the screen. So why don't we all take a look there for a sec, just to make sure it all makes sense. Okay. I don't see any hands up, so I'm going to assume that makes sense. Would someone like to move a motion? Great. Councillor Kirby-Young, seconded by Councillor Klassen. Council, is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. Great. The motion carries unanimously. Council, are there any other items of new business? Okay. Seeing no one in the queue, we're going to move. Oh, Councillor Fry, is this for inquiries or new business? Okay. Well, we do new business just in case. I don't want anything to slip through the cracks. So, Councillor Fry.
Okay, so no, sorry.
Okay, then stop your timer. So we're in inquiries and other matters. Council, are there any inquiries or other matters? Councillor Fry, you are back up.
Yeah, I do have I know we were going to discuss code of conduct material, and I do have a question, I think through the city manager, possibly. It's come to my attention. I'm curious around the code of conduct as applies to volunteer board members of community policing centers. It's come to my attention that the gentleman who identifies himself as the vice president of the new taxpayer-funded Gastown Hastings Crossing Community Policing Center put out a tweet that suggests that this was on the, obviously people were quite emotional after Charlie was assassinated, but his position is that the radical left have become the party of hate and violence. Progressives preach tolerance, but only for their narrow ideology. It isn't progress, it's political terrorism. So this was a tweet that was made by the president or the vice president of the board of a taxpayer-funded community police center, which I find first is inaccurate, but also is very polarizing and a very dangerous sentiment. And I'm deeply uncomfortable to know that this is happening. And I'd like to, if the city manager can ascertain how this person was appointed to this board and what responsibilities they have under our code of conduct and good conduct. I think it's important to nip this one in the bud. So, I realize this is all new stuff, so I can just leave that with you as a matter of inquiry. Yeah. And then actually also, if I may, I would like to acknowledge this weekend I attended the 100th centenary of the Hoi Ping Society, which is one of the Cantonese provinces, and they had a wonderful ceremony. I was quite astonished the extent to which the Hoi Ping Society represents so many movers and shakers who have helped and continue to help build our city. And I want to acknowledge and congratulate them on a wonderful event and 100 years. They were very thrilled to have, they had previously informed that there was nobody from council available to attend, and they were quite thrilled to have me show up as a surprise guest. And I was honored to represent the city there. And congratulations to the Hoi Ping Society.
Thank you very much. Councillor Montague.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'll direct this to, I guess, our city manager and deputy city manager, since no one from Park Board is here. I don't expect an answer right now because it's, and my question's a little long-winded. I'll have a little bit of background, but next to Van Dusen Gardens, there's some private property that has been struggling with the Park Board for some time. There are a number of lakes and ponds within Van Dusen Gardens, Forest Lake, Heron Lake, Heather Pond, Livingston Lake. The Park Board maintains and manages those lakes within Van Dusen Gardens, and has for, I think, 40 years or something. There is one additional lake, Shaughnessy Lake, that the Park Board, again, within Van Dusen Gardens, that the Park Board does not maintain. It's on city property, managed and under the care and control Park Board. But this portion of Van Dusen Gardens abuts private property adjacent to Van Dusen Gardens. It is the only lake that the Park Board does not maintain within Van Dusen Gardens. I think back in, and there's been some I don't know if it's a misunderstanding or some confusion over who's supposed to maintain it, but this is city property in a city park managed by the park board, and it's directly affecting private property. We as a city ask people to sign good neighbor agreements, but in this case, it appears as though the person that's not being a good neighbor is the city here. My understanding there is an implied agreement that the park board would maintain Van Dusen Gardens, including Shaughnessy Lake. I guess my question is, at some point, could we get either a memo back or some information back from the park board as to why they're not maintaining this lake? I visited the area the other day. It is it's no longer a lake. It's called Shaughnessy Lake, but it is a mud flat and a jungle of weed and bulrushes. Whereas, like I said, all the other lakes within Van Dusen Gardens are beautifully manicured and kept. So just wondering if we could follow up on that. That's it, Mayor. Thanks.
Great, awesome. That was affirmed. Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else in the queue, last chance. Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn? Great, Councillor Klassen, I think Councillor Dominato second. All those in favor say yay. All those also nay. Great, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.